Hey there guys, sorry there wasn't a review last week, kind of had a crazy week, so you were really lucky this week, you're getting a double feature. I'll be putting up 2 videos instead of 1, and the first video is going to be the way he looks. I've also brought chocolate for us to share, chocolate for me to eat while we go, so let's go out to the movies.
Hi, I'm Conan McKegg, and I love movies, in particular gay movies, and I've got a lot of them. So every week, I'm going to review a different gay movie, and discuss with you various ideas and thoughts that this movie brings up, as well as whether it's worth checking out or not. So why don't you join me and come out to the movies?
Hey there guys, it's Conan McKegg here. Welcome back to Out to the Movies, and this week I'm reviewing The Way He Looks. The Way He Looks is a high school romantic comedy from Brazil. It is about a blind high schooler, Leonardo, who's in his final year at secondary school, and his best friend Giovanna, who's been friends with him forever. Now, Leonardo is somewhat reserved because of his blindness. Giovanna basically is his eyes and ears around the school, and he lives with a extremely protective mother and a father who wants to support him but also shares the mother's concerns. So, when the movie picks up, Leonardo is uncertain about his future. He's about to finish school. His family is, of course, terribly afraid of what his life is going to be like. So they're constantly protective of him and want him to go to a nearby school. They want him to be where they can keep an eye on him. And he's chafing under both their protective gaze and even Giovanna's pushing for him to just, be realistic. Into this world enters Gabriel, a new student who's just transferred, and Gabriel is mysterious, he's charming, he's friendly, and he quickly befriends Giovanna and Leonardo. And as that friendship develops, he begins to help Leonardo out where Giovanna used to, which starts making Giovanna become envious of their friendship. What is interesting about The Way He Looks is that this is a film that's trying to balance several stories all at once. But they're not several stories about different people. They're all stories about Leonardo. So it's trying to show us the parallels between Leonardo's coming of age, where he's getting to a point where he wants independence, but he's having to deal with his blindness being a hindrance to how people treat him. He's having to deal with his family being afraid to let him take flight and be his own person. He's having to deal with his best friend since childhood, beginning to become jealous because he's got this other friend now who she feels is replacing her. And he's dealing with the fact that he's beginning to suspect that he's falling in love with Gabriel. Now, there aren't that many films about blind people as it is, as the lead character. To have a blind gay high schooler who's dealing with a standard coming-of-age story is quite a balancing act. And The Way He Looks manages this almost effortlessly. We have the parallels between coming out, standing up to your parents, rekindling your friendships, and figuring out who you're going to be in the future. And Leonardo's having to deal with all of it. And for a film that runs for your standard 90-minute runtime, that's a lot to cram in, and yet it does it so well. The other thing that I find it does really well is the romance. Now, I've talked before about how romantic comedies often struggle to show falling in love because they've only got so much time, and falling in love is not something that happens like that. It's something that evolves and develops. And it was something that God's Own Country did really well. And The Way He Looks is also really, really good at this. This is not a film that opens up with Leonardo falling in love. This is a film that opens up with Leonardo meeting Gabriel, and then their friendship evolving, and then Leonardo's feelings evolving. And so what we get is a really beautiful, well-paced story where we're finding out about Leonardo's feelings when he is, but we're also seeing the hints of it before they happen in a natural way. I think one of the things that Love, Simon in particular dropped the ball on is the romance, because Simon kind of goes from 0 to 100 very quickly with Blue, and over the course of the film his feelings for Blue don't really evolve. He is basically in it 100% from the get-go, and for the first part of the film he's really trying to avoid admitting to Blue that he's got that, whereas The Way He Looks starts off with Leonardo and Gabriel just kind of liking each other as friends, then going through the stage where Leonardo may be suspecting that he's feeling something, but he's trying to deny it, and then he is facing it. And so it feels a lot more natural, it feels a lot more progressed, and it makes the whole question of what are Gabriel's thoughts a lot more intriguing, because we don't really know where everyone stands initially in this film. And it's not really till about the halfway point that an event occurs that then propels the rest of the movie towards its conclusion. If there's one thing that it kind of doesn't do quite so well, it's the coming out. But it's only... Love, Simon was an amazing film for coming out narrative. Simon's coming out felt like a genuine event. The reaction from the family was genuine, and we had some really beautiful moments in that. The Way He Looks kind of has that, but it does it quite late into the third act of the film, which it needs to, because again, this film is not actually about Leonardo coming out. Coming out is a B story in this film. The film is really about Leonardo coming of age and making the decisions he needs to make for his future, and how that then impacts Giovanna and Gabriel and their reactions to his decisions. So they are two very different films, but for films that are covering high school romance stories, I think The Way He Looks just miles ahead of Love, Simon. It just nails everything and is juggling so many themes and stories all together in this beautifully paced film. There's just no contest in my mind. This is the superior movie, and if you have seen Love, Simon and not this, you need to go see this as soon as you can, because this is amazing. Which is not dissing Love, Simon, just saying that's how good this is. The camera work and the cinematography and the directing is just great. It has a very handheld, floaty, you're there with them feel, without it feeling gimmicky or jittery. There's some very, very confident camera work in this film. There's great moments where, despite we're watching a film, we're also kind of feeling Leonardo's blindness, and that's quite a clever trick, really. There's beautiful framing. The pacing is superb. I just think that this film is dealing with so much. There's so much that happens, and it never feels overwhelming. It never feels like they're cramming things in. Everything feels like it just moves at a really, really good pace. So A plus. The main actor, who is Guillermo Lobo, I believe that's he plays Leonardo, does a great job of convincing us that his character is blind, as the lead actor is actually not blind. Rather than just staring off into space, he manages to have that kind of look that when you're blind you tend to have. And he manages to do that while also having amazing emotional range and being able to show the depth of his character. A lot of actors who can see, generally when they're playing blind, and they can't really, the rest of their acting ability kind of gets sucked up by that performance. So I think it's a testament that he manages to make it look like he's genuinely a blind high schooler. Would have been really interesting to see what would have happened if they'd had a genuine blind actor playing the role. I think there would have been some very interesting acting choices made. But for what they've got, it's amazing. And the core trio of the film have a great rapport with each other. They've all got just a really wonderful way of interacting that makes you feel like these people really are friends. And it actually helps that the actors who play Gabriel and Leonardo also played them in the short film that inspired this. So there is that. So yeah, if you haven't seen this, check it out. It is one of my favorite films, and it's a beautiful, beautiful film. Very charming, very funny. And I think it's a masterclass in how to do a high school romance. It's just got just the right tone and feel to it. And they're willing to actually take you places. And the other thing that I think is worth saying is that this is a film that doesn't shy away from being gay. While Leonardo is not particularly femme, he is not an acceptable gay. He is. He's a music. He's into his classical music. He doesn't try to be manly or butch or anything. He's just himself. When he realizes he's gay, he doesn't agonize over it. He just accepts it. He never tries to be acceptably gay. He just is himself, and I think that that's a testament. The film has no fear in showing us guys kissing or showing them being sexual characters, which isn't to say that we see Leonardo having sex, because he is a high schooler after all, and that'd be kind of icky, but we do see him being a high schooler who is thinking about sex and talking about sex, and there's no shyness about it. It's very, very authentic and in your face. So I think that's another great testament to this film. It's solid. This is just watch it. Just please go watch it right now. And I'll see you in the next review, where I'll be talking about the other film that everyone wanted, because we had two films that got the same amount of votes. That was The Way He Looks and You and I. And I can't wait to share this one with you. So go watch this and then come back. Catch you later.